loves, it's Sonia G. It's the Moon Babes Monday Night Live. Welcome to this Ask Me Anything kind of live. I'm going to be answering questions, and then of course, like always, we're going to talk about the energy because that's what we do. And you may fall. You're in a very precarious spot. So if that happens, just know I'll pick the phone back up. So I'm excited for everybody to be jumping on this live. I feel like I just have felt so much love and so much healing and so much light from this tribe through everything that has happened with Henry. And I want to thank you all so much. We have felt each and every one of you sending like waves of just help and angels and energy to help Henry on this journey. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I so appreciate all of you. Astro Queen sending you love vibes. Oh, thank you, Wilson. So if you have any questions about anything, just type them up and I will answer. Oh my gosh, maybe we better change this. Let's see if we can make it work. Okay, this should work. How is the world going to turn out? Are there floods and a big flash coming? Okay, let's talk about the world, loves. Good question. So, thank you, love you guys. Thank you so much for all the love. Okay, so how is the world going to turn out? The world is going to turn out in two different worlds. That's the answer. One world is going to go to hell. One world is going to go to heaven. This is the simplified version of the answer. The way that you are going to experience events moving forward, okay, is by magnetic resonance. So it's by the frequency that you emit. If you are vibrating at a fifth dimensional, sixth dimensional, seventh dimensional, whatever level, you're going to experience that reality. If you're vibrating where the 3D world is, which happens to be where, our government is and where, the structures of the system that are carrying on this society thing that we, have been swirling around and, it's trying to define the world and keep everybody oppressed and all of that. That is the 3D world. So if you vibrate at 3D frequency, you're going to continue to experience the traumas and, the situations that are unraveling in the 3D world. If you are vibrating at fifth dimensional, 12th dimensional energy frequencies, what's going to happen is you're going to be living in like a different sphere where those events don't actually affect you, which is really strange. But like, for example, it's like a coexistence of worlds until like it's one world overlapped on another. Woo! Told you guys you might fall. Let me see here. Maybe. So it's like an over. Also, you guys, I'm wearing black because I just went skiing. This is not usual. So it's almost like a sphere, right? 3D sphere, 5D sphere, 7D sphere. So it depends on where you're vibrating. And in the 3D, that's like the world that you don't want to be in. That's like where all the shit's going to unravel, right? That's where the people literally are evolving to become zombies and die. That's it. Like the people that are following the general directive of what they see in the news, okay, their brain functions are going to start getting shut down. They're going to start forgetting things. They're going to start having these weird neurological symptoms. There's going to be like a big neurological kind of problem that's about to start happening in the country and in the world because of the information that's being pumped in the airways, and also because of the information that's being pumped in the veins of the people that have said yes to a certain thing, okay, that those of us that understand this are saying no to. So how does it work? And this is a question that like, I want to see if I can explain it the best I can here. So how does it work? Because you're having a physical existence within a world that is physical, right? So how does it work if you feel like you're still using the streets and the lights and, you know, the banks, like you're still using structures that are functioning on 3D, but you're living a life in higher dimension? So the way that that happens is, for example, if there is a power outage, your house would not actually have a power outage. You would be the lucky one, right? Let's just say if people got stuck in some kind of like floods or, you know, things like that, like you would be the lucky one that didn't have, you know, those kinds of things happen. You know, there's like those kinds of situations happen. I remember one of my teachers, Chantel, who taught me the dance of light. She lived in an apartment complex where literally, and it was kind of in this valley, and the whole place flooded. The whole entire, and it was like beautiful. It was over like a golf course. There's like, you know, like all this room, and it was just ginormous. Anyways, every single fucking building flooded. The basements flooded, okay, in this like massive complex. Her building, which there were like 4 entrances per building, right? Her building was the only one building that was dry, right? And so it's like, that's the kind of shit that happens. So it's, you know, and you're like, huh, that's weird. You're like, no, that's not fucking weird. That's my vibration. That's my frequency. That's the frequency I emit. And so when something vibrates low and you vibrate high, it doesn't match. So that the drama doesn't find you. It doesn't stick. It flies away, or it just falls away, right? The problem doesn't stick because you're not carrying the drama. Like there's no magnetism for the bullshit because it can't stick anywhere, okay? And the other thing with this is, because I feel like this is a question that like speaks for a lot of people, so I'm taking some time to answer it. The other thing is too, the way that the world is going in general, the people that are affected by what's happening in these outside events are the people that have not learned to emit their own frequency, okay? If you're still intaking instead of emitting, honestly, that's when you're fucked, okay? So you have to learn, this is your number one priority, how to hold your own frequency and how to emit it. You have to be your own radio station. You have to be your own radio signal, right? So where's your dial set up? You have to learn how to be like, I'm not available for this. I'm available for this. This is what I want. This is what I'm not available for, right? This is the codes that I am holding. This is the information that I broadcast every day. This is what I stand for. Like very much in your own power, sovereign onto yourself. When you reach that point, the external environment can't penetrate because you're filled with light. But there's not a lot of people on our planet that are filled with light. So when the news is like, you suck, you know, you're not good enough, you probably shouldn't do that, oh, you know, blah, 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 and all of the depressive thoughts like that, people have they just intake them and they're like, oh, I guess, poor me, I'm a victim, I'm a piece of shit, fuck my life, right? Like all of this stuff that then becomes cool to say, and being depressed and being so, like, it's like taking. Do you see how like depression is like this, right? You're just like, you want to crawl into a hole because all this stuff is like pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing and weighing you down. Emitting your own frequency is like, whap, right? Like you're up, you're sovereign, you're strong, everything is like a blast outwards. You're not intaking any bullshit. You're broadcasting light. This is like so important. So, no, there's not a big flash coming. That was like, the big flash, I think, has been misunderstood, misrepresented, misleading potentially for a lot of people. The flash is an internal thing. Like the experience that people have, it's very internal. It's not like all of a sudden there's something. And for some people it may be like they see something or they experience it in like dream time. But it's not happening for everybody at the same time because we're not all calibrated on the same frequency, right? And so it's an internal, like, do you ever like go to bed and like your eyes flash behind your eyelids kind of thing, like when you're downloading and when you're like recoding, like that kind of stuff? So it's kind of like, it's an internal flash, I want to say, and it could happen if you're like looking at the sun and like all of a sudden things happen. It could happen because there's an astral event that speaks to you. All of a sudden Sirius starts broadcasting to you. You know what I mean? Like it can happen in many ways, but basically the point of the flash is to actually alter your consciousness to where you actually start to embody your light being. And so that's the purpose of it. So we're not sitting here waiting for a general flash to happen in the sky. In fact, if anything like that was to happen, I would be it would behoove everybody to be in their hearts, do all the work that you know how to do, and then check it. Because with the way that the government's going and like all the things, like with the fake weather and like all the bullshit, like it's going to be fake. They're going to capitalize on the things that the spiritual community and the new age prophets have been saying, right? Like there's going to be this and there's going to be that and like this and this and this. Or like, the world's going to end in 2012. That was a dimensional shift. What the Mayans said was a dimensional shift where a different dimension was opening. But a lot of people didn't understand that, right? And instead of understanding that it was an internal thing, they thought that it was going to be like, literal end of the world. Well, it was the end of an underworld, which was a very dimensional situation. So yeah, I hope this makes sense. Okay, cool. Jamie, how is Henry doing? He is doing so good. He's healing super amazing. We are just not available for anything else. Like he's so good to the point that today I actually took off and went skiing because I needed a reset for myself, and he was like running around doing normal life stuff. So it was really good. Really happy. Like all the vibes, like applying all the skills that we know how to do and asking for divine intervention, and really like it got me practicing every single thing that I know how to do, and it fucking worked, right? Like it's like his lung collapsed twice, you guys. Twice. And we were out of there after the third night. That's like amazing. And I was able to sleep in a hospital, which generally they don't allow people to sleep. Like there were so many fucking things that were out of the ordinary, right? Because we called them in. This is the same thing. This is that living in a different frequency. Had this happened to somebody else, who knows how it would have happened, right? They probably would still be going through, different things, but we used all of our knowledge, all of our tools, all of the things of the higher laws, and we manifest that reality. So, okay. But yeah, we're doing really good. So it was a big test of our skills. So, because we have big things coming up. And so I think we really were tested in real life, and it's kind of happening for everybody, like I remember the doctor came to Henry. And he was like Henry was annoyed, obviously, that he had to be in a hospital. And medical doctors, staff, it's just not pleasant. A lot of people are just, it's my job, and then they're rude and they're not present for like what's going on with you. And it's the problem of our medical system. Anyways, and I remember Henry was like, I just want to go home. And the doctor's like, let me say this very clearly. You cannot go home. If I send you home, you could die. And I was like, okay, well, that's on the table. Let's clear that up now. Let's like rearrange all of this. Let's clear all of the possibilities, right? And so you do the work, right? You know how to navigate through that stuff. But it got really real. It got like life and death real, right? And so I was like, here we go. This is what we know how to do. This is when it really counts, right? This is when it really counts. And we showed up, we did the work, and, it went better than we could have imagined given the circumstances. So That's the thing. And that's how we know we're being tested, right? Like, can you actually apply your skills when it comes to life or death? And it's like, okay, good. We did that, right? And so now the next big things opens up. And the reason why I share so much is because you guys, like, when you have these like monumental battles that look like, holy fuck, that just happened. You know what I mean? Like, I got the phone call from the hospital and everybody can relate to that. And you're just like, and your heart drops and you're like, fuck, here we go, right? And then you turn on, like, you really have to turn on your superpowers, and not stress levels, not like bullshit levels, not like, you know, any of that stuff, like actual armor of light. Let me call on all my higher self. Let me like embody all of my light. Let me do all the things that I know how to do. Let me clear the motherfucking hospital. Let me like get all of the people connected, like that kind of stuff, you know. Let me recode, like let me do all the work that I know how to do with them. And, you know, consistently as like bad juju, you know, was coming in, it would be like not available for this reality, creating a new reality, not this, creating this, not this, creating this, like constantly. And yeah, you get tested, right? It's kind of like the universe wants to make sure that you're passing your levels. And so with that, I know the equinox is going to be a big deal. So I'm super excited for it. So those crystalline vibes, will this be impacted by the upcoming equinox? Speaking of the equinox, oops. So by this, I think you're talking about the, what had to do with like the world events, right? So considering that the equinox, here we go. It's just a little shifty. Okay. Because I'm missing some of the equipment at my house. Okay. So the equinox, let me explain this to you guys. You guys know like the yuga cycles and like the way that the earth moves around and like it's a big deal, and the procession of the equinoxes. A lot of people talk about the procession of the equinoxes, but like nobody really understands what that is. Okay. It's about, at least in my experience. So that the earth rotates on an axis, okay? This is Earth, this is the axis. Except the axis is not like this. It got tilted through time by the pull of the sun and the moon. So it's like this. We have a little tilt. This tilt creates a wobble, okay? The wobble, like this is what determines what the North Star is on the planet. And the wobble kind of creates this like circle around the Earth to where the Earth actually kind of like tilts like this, right? It's like this kind of dance that it does, or she does. And the circle that the tip of the pole and also the bottom of the pole draws in the space, the astral space, the zodiac that you know, the star systems that in the meantime it travels through, okay, that to complete a full circle, that takes 26,000 years, okay? Like to complete the whole cycle. So this is where these yuga cycles are. And then as we complete the whole cycles, because we are actually moving in time and space, like for example, what happened in 2012, we entered the galaxy. We became members of, you know, the galactic system again, because we were out of the belt. Like we had to cross, right? The photon belt. And so now that we're in it, that's the reason why in 2012, all of a sudden, all the dimensions opened, right? And then just a couple of years ago, all of a sudden we had 12D on the planet. And now everybody's like, oh my God, 24, 36, right? When it comes to DNA, we're just like moving and moving and moving because it's becoming available. Why? Because we're getting so much blasted with plasma light. Okay, plasma light is information, and that's where we're getting all of our information. So everything inside of us is becoming awake. It's becoming alive, and everything about the 3D world is trying to kill that, trying to kill our knowledge, trying to kill literally the human technology that is available to be awakened inside of us. A lot of people don't realize that it's like a fucking gold mine on the inside of the body. You just have to like actually learn, right, how to make use of it. And a lot of people just sit on a pot of gold because they don't know it, right? It's like kind of like when you give pearls to the pigs and they eat them and they're like, whatever. I mean, I'm sure there's like a million ways to say this. Okay, do we need to change this in a different way? What is going on? Dun, 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 dun. Okay. So, so now we're getting back to, this was a long answer, but I really want to give you as much knowledge as I can give you in this, because that's where my heart is. So I want to help. So the equinox works that way, okay? So during this time, during the equinox, there's this particular alignment of the Earth's axis, okay? And the pull of the energy between the sun and the moon is at harmony completely, okay? So it's like that figure 8, the infinity, it's the harmony, it's the yin and the yang, and it only happens twice a year. And the equinox is more powerful than the solstice energetically, okay? Because the equinox is the only one that it's equal night, equal day, equal light, equal darkness. So it's a big, big, huge recalibration, which is the reason why we start the mastermind on the equinox, because that's like, boom, right? It's massive integration. So during this time, what is available is the work that you could do in 6 months. So if you make yourself available and you do downloads, you're like connected, you're tuned in, you do your work, you prepare for it, right? You prepare for the equinox, like you actually, kind of like the ancient civilizations did, like the whole, megalithic, and everything was built around the freaking equinoxes and, the cycles of the sun and the moon. You guys know this. So, like, Stonehenge and everything else. So, during this time, it's like a window where there's this perfect moment of alignment where we're going to get like this massive integration of light. So you better believe that there's going to be distractions probably in the 3D world, right? Or there's going to be something, or the new fucking, shot up the veins is going to come out to distract the people, like something, which, I speak like this so that we don't trigger things, but something will happen to keep the people in the darkness, because it always does, because that's the way that world works. Just like something always happens for the people that feel the call to switch over to this side of fighting the fight on the light side, right? And what's going to happen with this equinox is a lot of people are going to be like, where the fuck do I stand, right? It's a moment of choice for a lot of people, because it's like, it's getting real, right? It's getting really, really real, and you can see it. And so sometimes it's really easy with all of the bombardment that we're getting mentally, emotionally, through all of the things that happen in our world, through the radio waves, through the chemtrails, through our food, through our medication, through fucking everything, through our technology, through everything. All the seen and the unseen things, okay? Again, the weaker you are in your energy field, the easier it is for the outside world to cave into you. So our job is always to be strong in our light, okay? That's our number one, so that this stuff doesn't come out. But anyways, what's happening is there's a lot of people where that pressure, and they, there's a lot of like, let's call them baby light workers, or there's a lot of people that consider themselves light workers, but they're kind of like wishy-washy. They're like Sunday light workers. They're like the Catholics that only go to Sunday Mass when it's Christmas, right? Do you see what I'm saying? They're like holiday Catholics or something like that. Not that we have anything with Catholics or whatever, but you know what I mean? Like the religious people that go to church on the Sundays or whatever. Anyways, the point of that is that they're not actually strong in their light, right? They're like starting this path and they're not really sure, but they want to pretend like they're here, but really they're here. Anybody that is on this path, you're going to be faced with massive choices, because this is getting really hard to resist. And there's like a breaking point where it's like, fuck, never mind this. Like, let me just follow something. Let me follow like a system that feels like it's going to hold me. And that's what happens with the system, like, the fucked up one that's like in our government. So make sure that you make your choices as to like where you are, where you stand, and like where your alignment is, because it's coming up. So don't know how to summon your strength and how to summon your power. More than ever, coming up is very important. Okay. Going in. Yes. no to the V. You guys know that that's like bioweapons, right? Like that's what's happening when they inject it. So yeah, okay. I'm scrolling through to see questions. I see my friends loaded on antidepressants and alcohol. They are having a blast and seem on a really high frequency all the time. Yeah, how does pharmaceutical drugs and alcohol play in your frequency? I don't make use of pharmaceutical drugs. I got off of a fuck ton of them. Actually, like 3 years ago, I threw away all my prescriptions. I used to be like heavily medicated for a series of different medical conditions. And then I decided to start doing the work that I do now and, actually downloading higher frequencies and teaching my body how to produce the chemicals that I need so that I didn't need anything else. So it's a lot better. And the reason why it happened, and I'm going to be like super honest with you guys, I used to take, I can't remember what the dosage was, but like a heavy dose of Adderall. I diagnosed ADHD, like the majority of us are, right? Because like this is like, that's multidimensional. If you're diagnosed ADD or ADHD, it's because you have a multidimensional mind. And so what it does, what ADHD, the drugs for ADHD, whichever ones you take, they like take your mind and they like go, and they focus you. Okay, they put a straight jacket on your thoughts so that you're only able to tap into like one frequency. Well, it works to like focus people. So it became like really, Silicon Valley, like the drug of choice, or whatever. And many people take it. So the thing that it does though, is it starts to fuck your neural pathways in your brain, okay? Because all of a sudden you're unable to harness your multidimensional functions of your mind. You're only able to you're just kind of like without the thing, you're just kind of like, you know what I mean? Like you're fuzzy, you're out there, you're like, you're not like, how do I explain this? It feels like fuzz. It feels like fog. It feels like you don't have a grasp on the layers and the multidimensionality. And then, so it feels like you can't do shit by yourself. You need a drug. Okay. Whenever it gets to that point, you're not doing good no matter what it is. Okay. So that's one thing. But I realized that there was a time, and I took Adderall for a really long time. And I used to work like 90 hours a week, corporate America, the madness, the drugs, sex, drugs, rock and roll. Like that is a life that, I did experience on this planet before I understood what the fuck was actually going on. For me, it had to kind of get to a certain level where I was like, what in the actual fuck is happening, right? And so I had my breaking point. And that was in 2007. I went to like a spiritual retreat and I was like, I knew there was more. It was kind of like that. So that's a short version of it. Anyways, so what's happening is the people that are doing the drugs and drinking the liquor, they're accessing fake. This is like what we call synthetic fields. So if you take away something from the outside, they can't function, right? And that's where the issue is. So it's a fake happy. It's induced by something else. It's like, it's just in that moment. Because then when you take something that's outside of you, there's always a crash, right? So like you were saying here, it seems to be that they're having a blast, right? It seems to be that they're doing great, but how's their soul? Do they feel like there's meaning to their life? Do they feel fulfilled in their life? Do they actually feel like, do they wake up and feel like, oh my God, I'm so grateful and I'm so happy and I feel so good, right? No, they're basically dumbing themselves and becoming idiots by taking all of these things, and then they won't be able to function. By the way, this level of drug use is how the government gets you addicted to them, because you do realize that all pharmaceuticals are subject to the government saying you can't get that shit anymore, right? Unless you get a card like this, unless you give me your arm and I get to do the thing in your arm, like there's a risk when you depend on certain things. So, yeah. I mean, if you have friends like that, have a conversation with them and ask them, because there's a difference. There's a difference between people that are fake happy and, fake doing it. And then there's the people that are actually, doing it. And the vibrational levels are super different. And the truth is, you can also see it in, in their lives. Like, are there, is the fake happiness just like the fake moment, and then they constantly break up and there's like cheating on each other and there's so much drama, and then their car breaks down and it's from one thing to the next and it's always fucked up and it's always betrayals and it's always that, right? Do you really want to live there? Like, it's just, that seems like an outdated frequency, right? Like, there's no need for that anymore. Like, we want to be in where everything is in alignment. Like, today I went skiing, for example, and I was like everything was in fucking alignment, right? It was amazing. And like, I found at first, I didn't know, because I hadn't been to the resort in a while, like 20 years. And so, I met a friend on the slopes. So I go to the parking spot and like I missed the entrance. And so I turned around and I was like, not available for this, not available for this turning around, not available for wasting time. Like, everything is happening in perfect alignment. I'm going to know where to turn. I'm going to find, it wasn't marked. The entrance wasn't marked, like nothing. It was just like really confusing. And so I turned around, and from that moment, I found the entrance. I moved down the parking lot. And it was like, madness, like the college campus parking lots, like, or when you pick up kids from school parking lots, like just kind of madness. And I knew exactly where to turn. And I stopped halfway. A guy walked up to his car, pulled out of his car, like pulled out, with the car, parked in. It was the road directly in front of the entranceway. Like, everything was just like, oh, I'm going to remember this. This is really easy. Like, I'm going to do this and this is going to work out. And like, everything in alignment. Not one person asked me to put on a mask. I was the only one. One time I was asked when I was actually getting on a lift to some guy, because they were like a bunch of people, and so he was like, hey, you're gonna need to cover your pearly whites or something like that. It was actually really funny, but because I was just, I'm unapologetically loud without a mask, so people generally tend to notice. So, but it was just, everything was just so in alignment, right? And I guarantee you that someone else, right, would have been like an hour in that parking lot waiting for a spot, and probably wouldn't have gotten the cut in the line where somebody asked them, hey, are you just picking up, or do you really want to go through this line? No, I'm picking up my tickets, thanks, I prepaid. Oh, cool, I can do that here, you don't need to wait in line. Like, all of those kinds of things, right? For some people, they don't happen, but when you're in alignment, that's how it shows up. It shows up in a very physical way, right? Where the timing is perfect and you find the people at the right place at the right time, like, everything just fucking works. But when you're starting to get into these kinds of frequencies, things don't work, like the person doesn't show up, your friends bail out, you can't trust people, and, like, it's just that kind of frequency. And so it's like, it's fake. So that's where you don't want to be. You want to be over here. And the thing is, the process of shifting is a little fucking tricky, because you actually have to let go of a lot of things that seems really appealing. My parents are very religious people. And my mom would tell us when we were kids, the road to hell is filled, like, it's downhill and it's very fucking easy. Like, it's downhill and you can just slide and there's candy and all this, like, fake stuff that's meant to feel you good, that make you feel good in the moment. But remember that the road to heaven is narrow and it's uphill, but that's where the everlasting happiness is, right? Because this is how it works for religious people. And the truth is, it is fucking narrow. You know why? Because you shed a shit ton of friends. There's a lot of people that you don't take, on your rising up. And that's why it's a lot of things. It's like shedding density, right? When we look at it from our understanding of now, we're like, yeah, everybody's fucking going to hell, because they just turn on the TV and they don't think for themselves. And then they, make use of all of these things that numb their mind. So they're all going downhill. But like the people that actually take the hard road, right? Like they shed. You have to go higher and higher and higher, and the density, and the people and the places and the jobs and the friends and the family, like there's a lot. So it gets narrower at the top. That's kind of what happens. So, call it whatever you want, but that analogy actually works. So, yeah. In terms of like, do I make any use of alcohol? I don't drink any like hard liquor at all, really. I do drink red wine. And I do get along, and it's probably like, or I'll drink like a, glass of Prosecco or like champagne to like toast something. But like, I'm a 1 to 2 glass person. It's not, I think if you're ever into drinking, like into any other drug to get drunk or to get fucked up, right? Like that means that you don't want to be in your body. And when you're not in your body, because literally that's what happens, by the way, alcohol cracks your aura. And some of the drugs, what they do is they pop your chakras. So basically you're left unprotected, okay? It's like you have no protection in a world that's filthy and gross and full of fucking STDs, if that's what you want to call them, right? We need a word for like, how do we call STDs that are actually like energy? Like just like shitty energy. Because when your aura is cracked, so alcohol, when you have too much, right? Like my mentor Gary always says, if you're going to have an important conversation and you're like getting a phone call. So at any time, right, just don't have that conversation because you're not in your right mind anymore, right? Like you're not really with it anymore. So that's what you want to do. We have like bugs that are making babies right now because it's springtime. So if you see like, a bug flying around, there's a family. They love this room. They're always in this room. You guys know this because you see them in all the lives. Anyways, so alcohol cracks like past your second glass, right? Depending on what you're drinking and how hard it is and how you handle it and all of those things, but it cracks your aura. So when your aura is cracked, like my phone keeps falling, then different things can come in your field. And when they come in your field, you have thoughts that are not your own. And when you have thoughts that are not your own that put you down, then you believe that the worst is going to happen. Like you believe other things, right? And then it's not you and you're not driving. You're not in charge. You're not sovereign. Same thing with like drugs that go pop, 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 pop. Right? If you don't know what to do with that energy, if you don't know how to hook into like your higher self, if you don't know how to protect your field, if you don't know how to navigate through that, then, there's energy vampires everywhere. And sometimes those are not like people that are human. Those are people that are actually, in other dimensional fields that can suck the energy and the life force out of you because there's a lot of that. Our energy as humans, we are like battery packs for a lot of entities in different dimensions in the astral planes, okay? Which is the reason why when you astral travel with me, I take you straight to connect to your higher self. We go all the way through to the 12th dimensional energy, to the 13th chakra, where we're one with our higher self. Then we go places. You don't just get out of your head and fucking go to the neighbors, because that's how you pick up shit. That's how you end up in different astral planes where you can get tricked all the fucking time, man. Like all day long, they'll trick you and they'll just like siphon your energy. That's what they do. And a lot of people don't know what they're doing in the astral planes, or / they take, ceremonial drugs with the shaman. I was talking about this today on the lift, where like a lot of people think they're shamans, but they're really not. They just administer drugs, or medicine to people, but they don't know how to hold you through the journey, and they don't know how to take you. And then all of a sudden you pop 2 chakras and you're off to the right and you're like, oh, shiny things. And you have an experience over here and you don't realize that you end up, leaving parts of your soul behind or things like that. So you really have to be careful, okay, to understand how the energy works. Once you understand how the energy works and you understand how to navigate and you're in charge of yourself and you're sovereign and you know how to play by the laws, then you're golden. I mean, to a certain extent, because you're always still in the unknown, right? But like, you're in charge. You're more in charge. And that's where you want to be. So that's the important part. Okay. So Yes, great answer. So good. Laura, so happy Henry's home and healing. Thank you, sister. Jay Campbell says, I lost 3 of my favorite people in 2012. Is that why? The change in dimension. People have mentioned something similar to me. Oh, absolutely. And you're like, it was really like a big shift. And, it's kind of like the same thing happened there was like not the same, but there are cycles of every 7 years. And so every 7 years, there's like another massive dimensional shifts, but then there's cycles within the cycles. So yeah, just like right now, a lot of people are dying from the planet because they just can't handle the frequency shifting, like the heightening of the frequency, which is also why a lot of people drink and, do other things because they can't handle the frequency. So it's, either you dumb yourself down or you rise to the occasion. There's soon to be no gray area. There's no faking it, right? Like I've talked about this for a long time. So you want to be part of the rising up, right? That's where you're going to thrive. This is where you're going to survive. This is where you're going to thrive. So you want to be here. So yes, dimensional shifts can absolutely cause that. And, in some cases, you can also just, it can also just be that their soul contract was up. And so, they're just done and they're done. And that was, they needed to take Earth to that spot. So there's a lot of things that, it's hard to say from just knowing that. But yeah. Okay. Love, light, and crystals. I never told anyone about these flashes of visuals I have had with my eyes closed. I'm speechless. Yeah. Okay. So we were talking about that, the activations, right? So, and that's how it kind of happens where, there's all of these things that happen, but unless you've gone through it, it's really weird to talk about it because you're like, that's fucking weird, right? Like, who's going to make sense of that or whatever not? But these are actually phases of ascension. And so there's literally a part that means that you're starting to get downloads, right? So, yes, very cool. I'm glad that I could explain that to you, what that is. So, okay, Laura, I had a crazy download last night. My ears rang so intense. I was sucked into a vortex. It was wild. It was out of body, but still feeling everything. So a lot has been happening with the Schumann resonance. By the way, the biggest blackout of the year yet in the Schumann resonance, besides when like the Schumann resonance was like out overnight for like 36 hours when like the heartbeat, do you guys remember last year? The heartbeat of the planet switched from 3D to 5D. And that's like, it was just like wild. And the Schumann resonance was out for almost 3 days. And anyways, the biggest since then, like, in comparison to all the other ones, happened over the past few days, and then we just had a spike. So whenever that happens, whenever the Schumann blacks out, those are downloads. That's like significant information that's coming in where the instruments won't even record it, / sometimes it just gets actually taken out because a lot of people can get activated just by seeing it. So it just kind of gets like censored, but it just tells you that massive things are happening. So that makes sense, right? We're shifting. Like you can tell this is the ramp up. Like it's the ramp up before the equinox. So the energy is like, whoop. Yes. Gigi, how would we know when we are uncoiling our 12 DNA strands? So by the way that you handle life and the things that happen in your life, because it's not like a thing that you can test. I mean, you could muscle test yourself, right, to see where you're at, or you could have someone do a reading for you and they can look. But in terms of like, people that understand how to do that. But in terms of actually having a knowingness for yourself, it's things like where you can shift your own reality, right? When you know that you're in charge, when you've taken full charge and you can shift the energy of a circumstance, I would say that this is how you know. When you actually like start to shift the energy of different circumstances and you can hold reality grids in place that are not available in other places, like these kinds of things. When you can heal yourself of a pain, you have a pain inside and you can focus your energy and your light and you go in and you heal it instantly, right? Like those kinds of things. Or when you can think something and it happens, like that's when, and a lot of us are like in and out of that kind of functionality, right? Like we're learning how to hold it, more consistently and, daily. Now, first the DNA has to awaken and then it has to actually like plug in, right? So you have to like activate it, then it has to like integrate. So the DNA uncoils and then it has to actually plug in. So there's a lot of different phases. And then your hypothalamus and your endocrine system all has to be ready to sustain it. So if you're doing a bunch of like DNA downloads and DNA, this is something that a lot of people in the spiritual community haven't understood yet, that if you do a lot of activation and downloads, but your endocrine system and your nervous system is not ready to integrate it, this just goes elsewhere. Like you don't retain it. It's kind of like when you read a page of an article and then you're like, what the fuck did I just read? Like I don't remember any of it. It's kind of like that. It's like water going through you, but like not even, because water has information, but it just kind of goes through you, but you're not making use of it because your body can't assimilate it. Your body can't utilize it. So you also have to work on, your physical self. And this is a new thing of Ascension because we didn't have to do that. But now it's very physical. When I say that Ascension, it's physical. So that's how you know. So yeah, thanks for all the love. How excited are you for Mexico, Jackie? I am so excited. You guys, we're going to get to go into some places that are not open to the public. So we've got like some special light jobs that we got to do over there and that have to happen because we're, doing the work for this new grid because we just brought in 3 weeks ago, month ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, I want to say, the template for the 36, the full 36 DNA complete template, right? Like we're still working on integrating 12, but before we actually physically, like once we physically integrate all of that, it kind of like we live physically in a 3D world, but we're like downloading and holding the other dimensions inside so that we are the frequency holders and we're beaming them out, right? So that's kind of what happens is once you reach a certain level of physical, you can actually hold more energetically, etherically, right? And so as this template came through and we completed the 36, it's my job, right, to make it available. This is like part of like my job in terms of my energy job, my soul's job. So I hold it and I make it available. And so because the energy went through me and I created the grid with that, then now we're being led to go somewhere where it actually has to like lock in to the ground, to the grid line. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty amazing how that all works out. So I am super excited. I'm super excited. And yeah, I'm excited Henry's coming too. We're going with the Moon Babes team. And then I invited Henry to come and he said, wait, you're going to do your magic shit in how did he say? It was like the best. He's like, you're going to do your magic stuff in an ancient Mayan temple, or in some temple, like on the equinox. Fuck yeah, I'm in. It was awesome. It was like a very manly answer. But yeah, so I'm excited. We're gonna make some magic. So super excited. Yes. And we are going to Tulum because we are working with, do you guys know like the Maya, were the keepers of time, right? Which is the reason why the whole 2012 was, a Mayan timeline, where what the Maya did is they worked with time. I'm gonna keep answering your questions. So yeah, okay. OMG, feeling this a lot this week. Me too, feeling it so much. Oh, you guys are feeling all the feels. Yeah. Healthy child within. The changed my life so much. Now, almost a year later, oh my gosh, yes. Oh, Dorothy, I recognize your picture. Yeah, it's true. It's life-changing. And the mastermind, that was a year ago. You were in the class of the first class that we did, the spring of 2020. Yes. It's life-changing. It is amazing. So Which, by the way, you guys, this is what we're kicking off in like 11 days is the mastermind. And if you haven't taken a look at it and you've been wanting to figure out, how the fuck to hold your own superpowers and what your superpowers are and all the things about, all of the, we're not going to call them aliens. I call them star beings, right? Your galactic family and all of that stuff. That's the course. It's the mastermind to figure out all the truth behind the scenes of the things. So super cool. Adam says, love you. You're a light and a great worker. Oh, thank you. Yes, light worker. Yes, thank you. Bree, can't wait for mastermind. Yes, amazing. Love, light, and crystal. I had no idea about the flashes. Yeah, yep. So that's how that goes. There are so many phases to Ascension, you guys. It's amazing. Bobby made a super tower buster Orgone to help us all. Better than 3D. Yes. That's amazing. Bobby makes awesome Orgone towers, which are really good for the EMPs and to keep clear of all the frequency control stuff. Maddie, are your videos available to watch anytime? Yes, you can watch it on IGTV, and then if we stay, I think we have 10 more minutes, and I can download it and upload it to YouTube. When you don't find it on YouTube, it's because it didn't download. But I also put them on YouTube too when it's available. So, Jay Campbell, if there's a pill for it, there's an herb for it. Hey, I like that. It's true. All the things in the medical system just mimic what nature does, because you can't patent natural processes, but you can patent chemical processes, and patents make people money. And, the medical industry is all about that. So I love that you guys are saying, yes, you're so magical. I don't know what I was talking about, but I'm glad. Okay. Yes. Oh, we were talking about the drugs and the things. Okay. People can neither metaphysical tools and abilities. People can be dependent on popping pills. The choice is yours. Oh yeah. Bobby's saying learn your metaphysical tools or be dependent on that. And that's actually really true, Bobby. That's a good point. Because a lot of people, when they can't handle reality, what do? They pop a pill or they have a drink and they take something, right? Instead, if you know the way to reorganize yourself energetically, if you know how to run your light, how to connect your stuff, how to, run your energy inside, how to fluff up your aura, meaning how to fill it up, right? How to call on your higher self. If you know how to do that, it doesn't matter whether or not you have a pill. That's not good idea anyways. You actually get to be the healer of yourself. You actually get to do the work yourself to raise your vibration. And then you're not dependent on anything else. You can do it anytime, anywhere, right? There's no anxiety. There's no depression. There's none of that. You're just naturally in alignment. It's so much better. Yes. Thanks for saying that, Bobby. Bobby has been doing a lot of work since we connected here on Instagram. I am proud. Definitely a lot. So many of you that I've known for a while. I know that you've been, I have seen your lives transform, and it makes my heart so happy, right? Understanding all of these things. So, Jamie, and someone can take over the body spirits. Oh yeah, when we were talking about pills and alcohol and stuff, yeah. So that's how you get possessed, right? Or somebody can just use your body to do stupid shit, and then you black out, and then you don't remember what you did, and then you look at your phone and you're like, what did I do last night? And you try and piece it together. Somebody else just drove your body, which means your soul was this body is in such low density that I can't exist in it anymore. So your spirit has to leave. Literally, it's you kick your spirit out, and then some other lower entity comes in, and that's what constitutes a blackout, because you're not conscious in your body anymore. Something else is. So yeah, then you have to cleanse through all of that and all the things that you did, and it's just, don't do it. It's not fucking worth it. So amazing. Everything runs so beautifully and smoothly when in alignment. Wilson, yes. So happy you had the best day. Thanks. Those crystalline vibes, the road to hell is filled with candy. Yeah, those are the things my mom would say. Amazing. So glad you guys needed this live. Yes. What's the one thing we can do right now to tap into true alignment? I don't know how to say your name, but one thing that you can do is learn to connect to your heart. That's the number one. If you don't have that, so learn how to turn all of your attention inwards into your heart. So put your hands, like rub your hands together, okay, so that you activate like all of your nerve endings, and then put them on your heart, and then breathe inwards. Go with your energy, go inside of yourself, okay, all the way in, and breathe and sync up your heart. Feel your heart connect inwards. That's a first step. If you're not there and if you don't have that, it's really hard to do anything else, because then you're not in alignment. You may be doing other things, but you're not in your heart. So you're not tapped into higher frequency. And so then you're just doing, but it's not inspired doing. It's not aligned doing. So that's, I would say, one thing. If I had to name one thing, that makes all the difference. Thanks for asking. Okay, Nava, could you talk about the biochemical warfare and the V things in your arms? Yeah, so basically the point of that is they're basically weapons, okay? They're weaponizing the air, they're weaponizing the weather, they're weaponizing okay, bug, go over here. They're weaponizing, we know the food is weaponized, right? We know sugar is like more addictive than crack cocaine. True story. White sugar, you guys, is like addiction inducing. That's why like people, like it's just, in the mind fog and like all the things, the side effect of sugar, which is in everything, is horrible. It's worse than crack cocaine. So anyways, and I bet you could probably Google it and find some things about it by now. But anyways, be careful, like not to just read and be like, oh yeah, I'm sure that's it. Like get in alignment first and be discerning of the things that you read. So what's happening? The purpose behind this thing. So that's the purpose of unleashing the severe cold that has allegedly infected the planet and caused this fake demic situation, right? For this past year, because we're into it a year now, basically. So the purpose of it was to scare the people into doing this, okay? And so this is like the outcome, like the whole thing, because the stuff that they're putting in, they're actually putting in, like if you look at what's inside of the cocktail of the thing that they're shooting up the arms, it's like dead cells from like aborted fetuses. Like it's like some insane stuff that they've been able to program. So they basically go and get cells where it's like intelligent stuff that goes inside your bloodstream, and then it gets like activated. And it's kind of like, in the movies when you see the cars that all of a sudden get taken over by a hacker, because like our cars are all like electrical, whatever, technological or whatever, like they can come on, so they can come through like your console and the cars start driving on their own, what I'm talking about, like where the different hackers like get into, like they change the traffic lights and they change, and they can remote into cars and they can remote into like cameras to see what's going on, like that. It's basically like that, except they're doing it with humans, okay? So they're able to actually like activate certain things inside for everybody to do a certain thing, or for everybody to do this. What's going to happen is the majority of the people are not going to be able to handle these things that are happening inside. So they're going to start developing like neural dysfunctions, because their circuitry is going to short circuit and they're just going to be like, bzz, right? Like it doesn't make any sense. So there's going to be like Parkinson's diseases, like up the wazoo, kind of, like the mental, like the forgetfulness kind of stuff. And a lot of like body dysfunctions. Like think about like fibromyalgia on like a million, right? Where your body just doesn't function anymore because you're so heavy. So it's those kinds of things. It's basically like the zombie apocalypse. That's what this is for. Like this is what this is inducing. It's creating an army of people that are fake alive, like they're not really there. They're just like, yeah. And truly, we don't know what else is inside in terms of like, what else can they control, right? Like, are they going to activate, deploy, different things inside of your system to, for this to happen or for this to happen. We don't know. So, but it's definitely, it's for that. And the full picture of it is the takeover of the planet, is, for like communism to be on like a global level, because this is all galactic. Like the truth of what's happening behind all of these things, it's all fucking galactic. This is not even shit that has to do with Earth. It doesn't even have to do with our government. This is to do with the beings that are ruling Earth. So this is a galactic war. We're in the middle of a galactic war that is manifesting on Earth in this situation. Now, you think you're in a fucking sci-fi movie until you actually like connect with your higher self and you start seeing it at a different layer and you start to understand these things. Side note, this is stuff that we talk about, like I teach you guys in the mastermind, is figuring out galactic lineages and karmas and like all these things, that you understand the fight that you came here to fight and why we're here, right, in this moment, and how to make sense of it. Because the truth is, we signed up for this to do the job that our soul came to do, and also to have a human experience for, the most amount of like soul growth that we could do during this time. So, we're here to birth a new world. Like, we are here to embody being sovereign beings at this time on our planet. And we're here to bust through all of the, there are frequencies that are captive frequencies. So there's old frequencies that are like prison kind of frequencies, right? That the people that don't emit their own frequencies intake. We are the people that have to crash them. We have to like break them. We have to bust through them. We have to birth new realities from within ourselves and push them out into this world, right? Like that's why like the birthing thing is like a very real thing. So that's what's going on. And they're doing it for everything. They're doing it from the outside, from the inside. Why? Because we have a short window, like really galactically speaking. And this is like the alignment of the stars and the portals and the things like this is a prime time where, as Earth moves through the solar system and the galaxy, there's a link up for all of the libraries of knowledge to come online. So the bad guys want us to miss this opportunity, right? And obviously us, the good guys, the masters of light, incarnate, we are here specifically to turn the light back on this planet. We're here to bust through the old systems and to install new systems. So that's our job, right? We want to make sure that we don't miss the link up. And the trick is we have to do this by doing our work, but also by respecting free will, which is the fucking hard part. Because when you have all of this knowledge, you're like, maybe, right? But then you're like back in the wheel of karma. So like that doesn't work. So you have to like really learn to work with the higher laws. But that's the job. So yeah, so basically, this is the light against the darkness. So that's what's happening. And yeah, you're going to start seeing all sorts of things. Okay. EDT is energetically transmitted disease. Yes, you guys. I love that. Energetically transmitted disease. Who said that? Oh my gosh. Brie. Yes, I love it. Done. We're calling it that. Are the starseeds on Earth helping Earth? If they are aware that they're starseeds and they're actually active in their missions, yes. Otherwise, they might as well be drinking and popping pills like everybody else. There's a lot of wasted fucking starseeds. So, yes, thanks for asking. Okay. When the visions flash with our eyes closed, is that a download? Generally, yes. Sometimes you may be integrating. Sometimes you may be, like, taken off somewhere. So, Bobby, don't pop them chakras. It's like, don't pop them bottles. I got that. That's so funny. Okay, Brie, what is going on with our ascension when we are in the phase where we can't have sex? You're recoding all of your chakras. So when we have sex, we intertwine. All of our chakras, like, intertwine with the partner that we're having sex with, and you exchange all of your energy and all of your history. So when you do that, and somebody's got bad juju, you pick it all up, okay? So you can't do that while you're recoding because you're literally just redesigning yourself. So that's what's going on. Love, light, and vegan food. When we physically die, do we follow the light, or what are we supposed to do? So when you physically die, it's going to look like the way that it kind of goes. It's actually the path that we take. It's not as easy to find the light unless you know that you have to look for the light. Okay. So it's basically the path that we take when we astral travel. You're going to have to get yourself to where you have to like consciously move yourself. And the work that we do astral traveling is going to come in so handy. I remember telling my mom this one day. I was like, I hope they teach you these things, because my parents are LDS. And so they go to like, they have secrets that they don't tell people. LDS people have a very, maybe I shouldn't say it like that. They have very high level sharings of information that happens if you go by all the rules and you follow like a very specific set of rules, which is actually really good. Like, don't drink, don't smoke, don't cheat on people, don't kill people, like basic rules, but also like next level rules. And, give service and like do these things and like fast every month. They have like a very like specific routine of things to keep their spirit like conscious and clean and, doing like in the light basically. So anyways, they go to these temples. There are very special buildings and you can't walk in there unless, you've checked all these marks and you have paperwork and like, it's like for real. So anyways, they go and they have these experiences that are really cool. And it's really good for them. It's kind of like for us to be in ceremony, to be like in retreats. It's kind of like that. So I can tell, for some people religion works, for some people it doesn't. So it just depends on who you are. But anyways, so they'll go and they get this, and they get these pieces of information. I know because they'll ask me questions. They're like, hey, so what do you know about this? Or what do you know about that? And I'm like, okay. And I explain it. And then they'll say like, oh yeah, that makes sense why they would tell us this or, whatever. But then I never get to hear their part. I just get to like, share my piece, which is really interesting. But one of the things that was happening is we were talking about the afterlife. And I was like, tell you what, why don't they explain that to you guys, in your rituals? Because I know where I'm going. How do you guys not know where you're going, right? So it's the path that we have when you're astral traveling and your consciousness, and you have to move yourself in consciousness. When we go from like our higher self to the, say to the, great central sun, to Venus, like how we move, right? How like you're in your light body, you're in your spirit, you're in etheric form, but you move. And you feel that, and you learn to direct it with your nervous system. You learn to direct it with your breath. Like you become aware of the energetic space that you are occupying so that you can move yourself through. And that's basically what happens, right? When you're dead, a lot of people don't realize it because all of it's like, some people get stuck because they're like, their energy, they don't have a body. And so don't make any more babies, bugs. The bugs are having like this party going on right now because we're talking about like sex and chakras. I don't know. And they like literally get on top of each other, you guys. Oh my gosh. Anyways, okay. Our timer is like up so that I can download this. So maybe we'll do like another part of this. So what was I talking about? Oh, moving yourself through. So when we talk about like bilocation and trilocation, which is something I've talked about for a long time, it's that feeling, right? So if you are, for example, like, I can train you guys on how to do this, but it requires effort, right? This is the stuff that we do. Like the first course I ever taught it in was the Sacred Chakras Journey. And then I teach it in the Mastermind. So you literally learn how to work with your spirit, and you like go one place. And then from that, you retain consciousness here, you retain consciousness there. And then you go to another place, right? And like you learn to move yourself through different astral planes and layers of consciousness. That's what it's going to feel like. I can't tell you that for certain because I haven't like gone and come back, but actually move yourself through, and you will yourself through. Some people that pass on, and we have accounts of this, like when you come back, you don't necessarily see the light right away. You don't have a family member, right, that comes through. And so you have to like actually make your way. So that's a good question. So you navigate yourself through. And so you know who you want to look for is your higher self. And then you want to actually like go through from your higher self, you go to higher consciousness. So you're navigating up. So you're spiraling up, frequency up. Okay, awesome. So, yay. What are some physical things we can do to progress further in our ascension? Meditate. Meditate, 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 meditate standing up. Learn how to connect with heaven and earth and do the alchemy of heaven and earth in your heart. So bring them together in your heart. Learn how to hold different energy fields inside of your physical body and learn what it means to connect inside of your cells. Very, very important. Okay. I'm going to say, oh my gosh, how many questions? We have a lot. You guys, I love you. We may have to do this another time. Let me see if we get like a few of the same. The angels always give me signs that I have all things I need to level up to the 12D in every way, but still feel like I'm not catching that spark. I get it, then I lose it. Stuck in the loop. Any advice? Yes. This is a good question to kind of end on. So, thank you so much, Mama Sonia. I love that some of you guys call me Mama Sonia. I was telling Henry today, I was like, we may not have physical children, but we sure have a lot of children. We have a tribe full of children. That's amazing. So, awesome. Is the 3D the top? Is essential all individual ones enough ascend? Everyone will. Okay, this is another good question. So, okay, so let's start with, I'll answer these two, you guys, and then I'm going to go because otherwise we won't be able to get it on YouTube. So a lot of people are ready, okay, for 12D. A lot of people are ready for these things. You just don't have a way of actually holding on. And so it's just, I literally wrote about this, I don't know if it was today or like my last post, where manifest, it's like a tug. It's a push and a pull, but you're not consistent. You're not holding. So basically the difference is that you haven't learned how to hold the energy. You have to like catch it and then you have to let it go. You have to catch it and let it go. So it's a function of practicing, okay? And it's a function of actually having a way that you can grasp that is stable. This can be like a daily practice. This can be morning and night meditation. This can be journaling. This can be like, it's a combination of a lot of things, okay? But you have to start somewhere. So you have to have a system to hold yourself, okay? Because a system meaning like a structure. Energy flows through structures that we create for ourselves. So we have to create the blueprints. We have to like reactivate the blueprints of our knowledge where the energy can then like run through, right? So if you don't have a way for the energy to move through you, if you don't have structures built, energetic structures within you, around you for like thought patterns or for how to navigate your energy on the inside, then you lose it because you're not going from the first floor to the third floor and you don't have a stop on the third floor. You feel like you have to go back to ground zero, right? So every time you kind of like start. So you have to learn to hold it. And that's the difference between activating and learning how to integrate. And this is why I was saying earlier, if you do a lot of DNA activations and a lot of downloading, but you don't know how to hold it, it doesn't do you any good because you're not retaining the information. Like it's not actually like moving through you. It's not doing the job that it needs to do. So you have to learn to work with yourself on higher planes and to work with heaven and earth in order to be able to hold it. Okay. So that's what you want to do. So break the loop, like do something different, try something different. And, in specific, these are literally the things that I teach in my courses, in what I would call the two magical courses, which is the Sacred Chakras Journey and the Metaphysical Mastermind. But, this is the advice I can give you here. Okay, so yeah, let's go back to that other question. That was really good. So the 3060, the top. The 3060 is the amount of light energy information recoding that the physical human body can handle at this stage, because enough people have switched over from lower density to a little bit higher density. So the majority of people are aware of this ship. Maybe not the majority, but like there's a lot of people that are awake. And so the scales have kind of tipped over. And so because of that, the general masses will always increase at a baseline based on what the top of the class of Earth, right? Like 21st century Earth is doing. So when we push the boundaries and we're up at 36, right? These guys get nudged and they're like, fuck, I really got to look at this 5D thing, right? It's kind of like that because they feel the pull. So that's how that happens. It's not an instant, everybody's going to go all the way here. They get to stay. They get to naturally get pulled up because this is like gravitational forces. This is like gravity going up. Because when enough of us are up here, they have to level up. But they won't level to anywhere beyond what they're ready, right? So there's no threshold at which everybody just like switches. They'll just be on that journey at wherever they're at. So everybody will have to do the work whenever and however they choose to do it according to their own timelines. You know, it's not like anything is ever wasted. Like they'll get another chance. They'll incarnate again on another planet, you know, to do this particular thing on with their soul. So that's kind of what's going on. And I know that's not like a popular answer because everyone's to be like, hey, enough people do it, we're golden, you know, but enough people do it, you have the opportunity, but then you still have to do the work. It's kind of like, okay, let's end with a Bible moment because there's many good Bible moments. In the Bible, I never understood this because I grew up in religious culture, obviously, an LDS and Catholic. I went to Catholic school. So somewhere in the Bible, it says, and it's one of the parables, and it says, if you have talents and you don't use them, they get taken. How did it go? To those who it is given, like, if they don't make use of it or whatever, like it will be taken away. But to those who it is given and they make use of it, like more will be given. And I never understood that. I was like, why did the people that only get like the little bit, like it gets taken away? And why do the people that have a lot get given more? But really, that's not what it's about. It's about the fact that if you don't make use of what you got, it will be taken away because everybody has something that they has to like progress with, right? And so if you're not making use of it, it's not gonna you're not gonna get there. So you have to do it again. I don't know that I explained that very well. I'm gonna have to like find this passage in the Bible. Amazing. So, I love you guys. I know that I can see so many things. Self-driving car analogy feels quiet on the nose. Yeah, about the V thing. Can we not have a galactic chat and figure out what the F is wrong with them? Lack of love. People? Are you guys talking about people? What are you talking about? It's difficult. The aftershock of the thing. To be terrible. It's difficult to be around people who have gotten it. Yeah, because they turn off. It's like they just die. It's like a part of their consciousness dies. Like they're not the same person anymore. You know, there's actually a video that explains it. Somebody just shared it with me today. And even though like I've shared this information before, I'll share it again. It's yet another way of saying it. It's very like dramatic in the way that it's explained, but I'll share it with you. So it goes through like some of these things. I didn't watch the whole thing, but it sounds like they're talking about this kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's like people just shift, right? And so you just can't be around those people because you're just like, you're buzzing in like a different frequency range that's like, you know, it's like, it's not life. It's not life anymore. So that's what happens. Some people, you know, it's just their lesson. You have to, and so I know it's hard, but you have to respect free will. Not everybody is going to make the cut. And that's the thing that's like really hard. It's not like that. Not everybody is going to understand it this time around. That's why karma's a motherfucking loop, right? Until you break it and until you take your sovereignty back. And they're just going to keep going in the circle until they figure it out. If it's not this lifetime, it'll be the next, right? So that's kind of the thing. Unless they get stuck inside their body and there's a whole other situation that could happen. So, yeah. Basically, the best defense right now is the mastermind. Brie, I love you. Here's the thing. I created the mastermind, so we'll end by saying this. I created the mastermind for one purpose, with the intention that if you find yourself in a situation where you're literally like naked in the street, you have nobody to call, you have like no people, you don't know what the fuck is going on, say you just like lost everything, you actually have inside of yourself the skill set, the knowledge, and the how to create the reality, like rearrange reality so that you have someone that like shows up with this, someone that shows up with that, this happens. Like you have the ability inside to connect, figure out what's going on, and make your next moves, right? Like that's the priceless shit. That's the stuff that's like, that's the thing. When you find yourself in a situation that you don't know what the fuck to do, what do you do? And these are the skills to where you figure it out, right? So it's kind of like that. I mean, for some people, you could say, oh, I'm just going to, ask like for divine guidance. That's really great. But can you do that when, life depends on it? Like, can you do that in, those kinds of situations that you have to move through that are like life or death situations or kind of things like that? So these are the skills and the tools and the knowledge, when time matters, like when things matter, when you need it right now, like that kind of stuff. And it's just, obviously it's a 10-week course, which is not something that we can accomplish in like a 1-hour chat. So, it is like martial arts, like self-defense for the world in a sense. I call it like the X-Men training because you have to activate your superpowers. It's the closest thing to like the X-Men schools, right? To understand, like I talk about them being superpowers and gifts, but really it's this ability that we have to turn on our intelligence inside and actually blossom into who we truly are and take this power, this sovereignty back and like turn the world around us. And the more of us do this work, the more, we shift and the more we break through to all of these other things. And, that's kind of how it's going to go. So I love you all. I am sorry that I didn't get a chance to finish through everything. If you have a particular question that you asked and then you want to like DM me, or maybe I'll do no, actually don't DM me because then that's going to be like a lot. I'm going to do a thing on here where it says like, ask me anything for the next live. Okay. So put it on there and then maybe we'll just do a next live because I love you guys and I want to give back. And I felt so supported by this tribe during this time. So I love it. Awesome. Okay. I love you guys. Let me know if you have questions about the mastermind because literally we do start in like our event is in 11 days. It's going to be like amazing. It's going to be like massive energy. It's going to be massive realignment. So, and I'll have more details coming up in the next couple of days. I literally felt like I couldn't disclose it fully. And now I see also why. It's almost like when you decide to like announce something, like there's really, sometimes challenges come up when it's something like this because we're making a massive shift towards the light consciousness on the planet. And so we're playing with like, bigger game players and realities and beings and things. So we're really motherfucking in the mix, of this shit. So we're doing the work we came to do. So I love you all. Details coming soon and for all the things. And if you haven't done my free course, make sure that you do it. It's on the website. It's www.moonbabetribe.com. Click on free shit and like there's meditation, there's stuff. I have like free resources on my YouTube. Okay. And then if you have questions about the mastermind, message me or message Kelsey, let us know. We're happy to help you. I love you all. Have a beautiful Monday night. It's Sonia G for the Ask Me Anything Live, Monday Night Live. Mwah. Bye. Love you guys.